You know what's crazy? Most people think that the secret to mind-blowing intimacy is all about what you do physically. They think it's about tricks, positions, or wild experimentation. But men, real men, don't crave just the act itself. They crave an experience that feels personal, one that makes them feel chosen, desired, and understood in a way that's rare. And the truth is, there's one method, one style of connection that men secretly beg for, though most will never admit it out loud. It's not rough, it's not dominant, it's not performance-driven, it's intentional. It's when a woman knows how to connect with his body and his mind at the same time, when she doesn't just do things to him, but with him. See, what men crave most isn't just pleasure, it's surrender. They want to lose control, but only in the presence of someone they deeply trust. The kind of woman who knows how to make a man feel both powerful and safe at once. The kind of woman who can make a moment feel slow, intoxicating, and unforgettable, not because she's trying too hard, but because she's fully present. And this is where the Hardy One Sex Method men beg for begins. It's not about wild speed, it's about rhythm, emotion, and the feeling of being seen. When a woman learns to slow down, to sync her energy with his heartbeat, his breathing, his subtle shifts, everything changes. Men live in their head so much of the time. Work, stress, expectations, ego, it's constant noise. But when he's with a woman who knows how to bring him back into his body, to make him feel calm and desired, it disarms him, it makes him melt. And that's the kind of experience that leaves him addicted, not just satisfied. So let's dive into the 5 secrets that make this method so irresistible. And before we start, remember, none of this is about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about unlocking a side of you that's already there. The sensual, confident, emotionally aware woman that he can't stop thinking about long after the night is over. Secret 1 scene, the power of teased anticipation. Every man loves excitement. But what makes him crave you isn't the moment he gets everything he wants. It's the moments before. It's when you draw him in, just to pull back slightly. It's that look you give him that says, I know exactly what's happening here without a word. That smile that plays at the corner of your lips. That slow, deliberate way you let your touch linger, long enough to spark a reaction, but not long enough to satisfy it. When you create anticipation, you build tension. And that tension isn't frustration, it's electricity. It's what keeps his mind spinning even when you're not around. See, most people rush. They think passion is about intensity, but the real secret is timing. When you slow down, when you let moments breathe, he begins to lean in. He starts chasing the next second. He starts reading your body language like a language only he can understand. That's what the best lovers do. They make every moment matter. You could be inches apart, barely touching, and it feels more intimate than anything else because the energy between you is alive. You're making him feel the pleasure of wanting, not just having. And men secretly love that because it makes the moment feel like an adventure, not a routine. Secret 20 lay, the art of responsive energy. This one's everything. Men might not talk about it, but they feel it instantly. The difference between someone who's just going through the motions versus someone who's genuinely there. Responsive energy is when you mirror, react, and sync to his rhythm, his touch, his tone. It's when your movements, your breaths, your small reactions show that you're feeling every moment. That's what tells him you're not performing, you're connected. See, men don't want a scene out of a movie. They want chemistry that feels real. And nothing feels more real than responsiveness. It's when you let out a quiet breath, when something feels good, when you move closer without thinking, when your body reacts naturally, without control. That's the moment he feels desired. That's when he feels like what he's doing matters. And men crave that validation more than they'll ever say. The truth is, men are as sensitive to feedback as women are. When they feel you responding, it amplifies everything. It makes them want to give more, focus more, please more. You become his compass. He starts reading your signals, adapting to them, feeding off your energy, and suddenly what could have been just physical becomes emotional. That's when connection turns into chemistry. Secret 3, emotional seduction. This is the secret that most women underestimate. Men don't just fall for bodies, they fall for emotions. When you learn to seduce a man emotionally, you tap into something that outlasts physical desire. It's when you look at him like he's the only person in the world. When your words, your tone, that your energy make him feel seen. It's not about saying dirty things. It's about saying real things in a way that feels intimate. Like you might whisper something like, oh, I love the way you look at me right now, or you make me feel safe, simple, honest, present. Those words delivered with soft confidence light him up. Because they're not lines, they're truth, and truth wrapped in sensual energy is irresistible. Men beg for this kind of experience, even if they don't realize it. Because it's not just physical, it's emotional surrender. He's not only enjoying you, he's trusting you. He's opening up a part of himself he doesn't show to anyone else. And that's what creates the kind of bond that keeps him hooked, not because he can't find attraction elsewhere, but because he can't find this feeling anywhere else. That's why the high one sex method isn't about wild technique. It's about mastery of energy, emotion, and presence. You're not just someone in the room with him. You're the reason the room feels different. The way you breathe, the way you move, the way you look at him, it tells him, I'm right here with you. And that's something men can't forget. But here's where most women unknowingly miss out. They think they have to perform. They think they need to be perfect or exciting or enough. But men don't fall in love with perfect. They fall in love with real. They fall in love with the woman who feels alive, who's confident in her softness, and who doesn't rush through the moment trying to impress. That's why when you learn this method, you stop chasing validation and start creating connection. You stop wondering, did I do enough? And start realizing, I am enough, because what men beg for isn't someone who performs, it's someone who feels. And that brings us to the fourth secret, one that transforms every moment from something good to something unforgettable. Secret 4Z, the rhythm of trust. Trust might sound like a simple word, but in intimacy, it's everything. Without it, the energy feels mechanical. With it, every second feels magnetic. See, when a man feels trusted, he becomes his most giving, present, and passionate self. He stops performing, stops holding back, and starts connecting. He becomes softer, more aware, more real. That's when you see the side of him that most people never get to see. Men are used to being judged. They've been told to perform, to please, to be perfect. So when a woman comes along who trusts him enough to relax into the moment, who lets go of control, who breathes instead of worries, who's open instead of guarded, it changes the energy completely. It's no longer two people doing something. It becomes two souls feeling something. The rhythm of trust isn't about saying, I trust you. It's about showing it. It's in the way you let your guard down, how you lean into his space, how you allow silence to exist without awkwardness. It's when you're not thinking about what comes next. You're letting it unfold naturally. That's when he starts to feel something he doesn't feel often safe. And men, even the most confident ones, rarely feel safe to be vulnerable. That's why this method is so powerful. Because when you give a man emotional safety, he gives you everything back. He'll listen more, feel more, love more deeply. You stop being someone he's with and start being the one who makes him feel alive. Trust creates rhythm because the moment he feels safe, the rhythm between you becomes natural, not forced. And the truth is, rhythm isn't just about pace, it's about connection. It's when your breathing aligns, when your hearts sync, when you both stop thinking and start feeling. The best rhythm is born from mutual surrender. It's that dance between giving and receiving, leading and following, where neither of you needs to control the other. You just move together. That's when chemistry transforms into something almost spiritual. Now, here's what makes this so beautiful. Men might not have the words for it, but they feel it instantly. When he's with someone who's holding back, it feels off. But when he's with someone who trusts the moment, he lets go of every wall he's built. And that's when you reach a level of intimacy that most people never touch, not because it's wild, but because it's real. So when I say the Fay One method men beg for, I'm not talking about performance, I'm talking about presence. And presence is impossible without trust. Secret 5, the confident afterglow, most people think the magic ends when the moment ends. But for men, what happens after can mean more than what happened during. It's the afterglow, the energy you leave behind, that lingers in his mind and makes him crave you again and again. The confident afterglow is about how you carry yourself once it's over, how you move, how you speak, how you make him feel. See, men are emotional creatures, even if they don't show it the same way. They notice the small things, the way you smile at him after, the way you brush your hair back with calm confidence, the way you look at him like you're satisfied, not because it was perfect, but because it was yours. That's what gets stuck in his memory. That's what makes him look at you differently the next day. The confident afterglow is about staying in your feminine energy even after the moment has passed. It's not about clinging, not about needing reassurance. It's about radiating peace, self-assurance, and softness. It's when your body language says, I'm fulfilled, I'm grateful, and I'm still me. That's what makes him miss you, because you're not giving him pressure, you're giving him presence. And here's something powerful most women don't realize. After intimacy, men feel vulnerable too. They might act relaxed, but inside, they're wondering if you're still attracted, if they did enough, if you're emotionally distant. When you give him warmth in those moments, when you gently touch his arm, when you smile softly, when you say something simple like, "That felt amazing," you soothe that hidden anxiety. You make him feel secure, appreciated, wanted. That's what keeps him coming back, not the act itself, but the emotion that followed. Men beg for that energy because it makes them feel grounded. It makes them associate you with safety and desire at the same time. And that combination, it's addictive. Because think about it, every man has had moments of physical pleasure, but few have experienced emotional connection wrapped in sensuality. That's what this method creates. It's when the chemistry doesn't end when the lights go out. It lingers in his chest, his thoughts, his memory. He'll find himself replaying the way you move, the sound of your voice, the feeling of peace you left behind. And that's when he knows it wasn't just attraction, it was connection. Now let's bring all of this together. High one sex method men beg for isn't about being bold or shy, dominant or submissive. It's not about technique at all. It's about energy. It's about creating a space where both of you can drop the masks and meet each other as raw, real humans. It's emotional intelligence wrapped in sensual confidence. It's when you take your time, tune into his signals, respond naturally, and let the moment breathe. When you master this method, you stop thinking, "How can I please him?" and start realizing, "How can we both lose ourselves in this?" That's when you unlock the full power of feminine energy, the kind that doesn't chase, doesn't prove, doesn't perform. It simply draws in. Men don't beg for this method because it's flashy. They beg for it because it feels rare, because it's not something that can be faked. It's the kind of experience that reminds him what connection really feels like. And once a man tastes that level of intimacy, everything else feels empty in comparison. And here's the truth few people ever say out loud. Men might go looking for pleasure elsewhere, but what they truly crave is peace within pleasure. The kind that comes from a woman who knows her power, who doesn't rush, who owns her presence, and who can turn the simplest moments into something unforgettable. That's the kind of woman he never forgets, because she doesn't just make him feel wanted, she makes him feel known. She makes him feel like the version of himself he likes best, and when a man feels that, he'll move mountains to keep her close. Now, if you want to know the deeper layer of this, how to communicate, how to use words, tone, and emotional cues to guide that connection without ever losing your confidence, that's where the real mastery begins. Because physical chemistry might spark attraction, but emotional intelligence sustains it. When you learn to blend those two, emotion and sensuality, you stop chasing attention, you become attention. You stop waiting to be chosen, and you start being the one he chooses effortlessly, because your energy makes him feel something he can't explain, but never wants to lose. And that's what the 5-1 sex method truly is. It's the art of presence, responsiveness, trust, and confident afterglow woven together into something magnetic. Men beg for it, not because it's performance, but because it feels like truth. The kind of truth that doesn't fade when the lights turn off. The kind that lingers long after the night is over. Let's be honest, connection isn't something you can fake. You can learn techniques, memorize tips, or watch endless videos about what men like. But the truth is, none of that matters if your energy isn't real. The most magnetic, unforgettable experiences happen when two people stop performing and start feeling. And that's exactly what this method is about. It's not a checklist, it's a dance of rhythm, energy, emotion, and trust that turns something ordinary into something extraordinary. See, men aren't hard to please, but they're incredibly hard to move. You can catch a man's attention easily. Attraction happens every day. But to move him, to reach the part of him that's guarded, the part that's tired of surface level connections, you have to bring something different. You have to bring presence. You have to bring soul. And that's why when I say the 5-1 sex method men beg for, I'm not talking about what happens in bed. I'm talking about what happens in energy. Because when your energy is aligned, confident yet soft, open yet grounded, you don't have to try hard. He'll feel it the moment you walk in. The way you look at him, the calmness in your body, the peace in your energy, all of it tells him that you're not just another person searching for validation. You're someone who knows herself, And that's what men crave more than anything. A woman who's secure in her sensuality, someone who doesn't rush to please or impress, but who invites him into her world, where the rules are slower, softer, deeper. That's the method. It's an invitation. When you embody these 5 secrets: teased anticipation, responsive energy, emotional seduction, the rhythm of trust, and confident afterglow, you're not just good at intimacy, you're unforgettable, because these 5 aren't actions, they're energies, they're ways of being. Let's pull them all together for a moment so you can feel how powerful this really is. When you tease anticipation, you show him that connection is about savoring, not rushing. You remind him of something he forgot. That real pleasure lies in the wait, in the stolen glances, the pauses, the playful tension that makes him lean in instead of lean back. That's not manipulation, that's mastery of pace. You're setting the rhythm of the story. When you become responsive, you bring the experience to life. You're not just there, you're present. Every sound, every breath, every reaction tells him, I'm right here with you. That's when he feels seen, validated, desired. And when a man feels that, when he feels like what he's doing matters, it wakes something up inside him. It makes him give more, feel more, love more. When you emotionally seduce, you shift from physical to soulful. You remind him that intimacy isn't just touch, it's words, energy, emotion. You show him that being desired is more than being admired, it's being understood. You speak to the part of him that doesn't just want pleasure, but peace. The part that wants to feel safe enough to let go. When you trust, when you truly trust, the dynamic changes. He stops performing and starts connecting. He doesn't feel like he has to impress. He feels like he can just be. And when a man feels that way with you, when he feels like you're not judging or controlling, but instead surrendering and allowing, that's when he opens up in ways he never has before. And finally, when you master the confident afterglow, you close the loop. You show him that you're not just radiant in passion, but radiant in peace. You're not clingy or distant, you're centered, you're calm, you're warm. That's what he remembers most, because it's not how you start that defines the memory, it's how you end it. And when you end it with softness, with grace, with confidence, he can't stop thinking about you. Because here's the secret most people miss. Sensual confidence isn't about being bold or wild. It's about being present. It's about being so grounded in who you are that everything you do feels intentional. You don't just touch, you connect. You don't just move, you express. You don't just look, you see. And that's why men beg for this kind of experience, because it's rare, because it's not surface level, because it feels like home. Think about it. In today's world, everything is fast. Quick conversations, quick connections, instant gratification. Everyone wants to skip to the good part. But the truth is, the good part isn't the end. It's the build up. It's the anticipation, the curiosity, the discovery of another person's rhythm. And when you slow down long enough to feel it, that's when it becomes unforgettable. When you learn to be in tune with your partner, your body, your breath, your emotions, you start to project a new kind of power. The kind that doesn't need to shout, the kind that draws people in quietly, magnetically. And that's the energy men beg for, even if they don't have the words for it, because it's not just sexy, it's safe, it's grounding, it's intoxicating. And you know what's beautiful? You don't have to learn this. It's already in you. Every woman has this power. Somewhere along the way, life, rejection, heartbreak, and pressure make us disconnect from it. We start performing instead of feeling. We start seeking validation instead of presence. We start trying to look confident instead of being confident. But the moment you remember your softness, the moment you realize that sensuality isn't about pleasing someone else, but enjoying yourself, everything shifts. Your energy changes. Your presence becomes different. You walk differently, speak differently, connect differently, because you're no longer trying to prove anything. You're simply allowing yourself to be everything you already are. That's the kind of woman a man can't forget. Not because she's perfect, but because she's authentic. Because she's the kind of woman who knows that intimacy is more than attraction. It's understanding, emotion, rhythm, and trust all tied together in one powerful moment. And here's what happens when you embody this method. You start to see a new kind of connection unfold. The kind where he starts opening up emotionally, where he shares more, where he's gentler with you, more attentive, more grounded. Because when a man feels emotionally fed, not just physically fulfilled, he becomes devoted. Not in a needy way, but in a grateful way. He stops chasing thrill and starts craving depth. He starts realizing that the peace he feels with you is rarer than any excitement he could find elsewhere. Because you're not just exciting, you're safe excitement. You're the kind of woman who ignites his fire but also calms his chaos. That's what this method gives you. Not control but influence. Not dominance but depth. You stop being the woman who has to keep his attention, and you become the woman whose energy he can't escape. Because every part of you, your eyes, your tone, your patience, your responsiveness, reminds him of something he's been missing: connection that feels like art, not effort. And once a man experiences that kind of connection, he changes. He starts valuing quality over novelty. He starts realizing that intimacy isn't about perfection, it's about being present. You become the standard, the reference point, the memory that others can't replace. Because what you gave him wasn't just pleasure, it was presence, passion, and peace wrapped together. So if there's one thing I want you to remember from all this, it's this: the sex method men beg for isn't about being anyone else. It's about returning to yourself. It's about rediscovering the side of you that feels, that breathes, that knows how to slow down and experience instead of perform. It's about learning that your power doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. When you trust your body, your energy, your intuition, and your emotions, you stop second guessing yourself. You stop wondering what he's thinking or feeling. You start leading with confidence, and that confidence becomes your allure. Because true sensuality isn't a performance, it's a presence. It's when you can look someone in the eyes, say nothing, and still make them feel everything. So the next time you're with someone, remember these 5 secrets. Don't rush, breathe, stay curious, respond, don't perform. And after it all, stay calm, stay confident, stay soft. That's the real magic. That's the energy men crave. That's the rhythm they beg for. The one that makes them want to come closer, not just once, but always. Because in a world full of noise, the woman who knows how to move slowly, feel deeply, and love intentionally becomes unforgettable. She becomes art. She becomes peace. And that right there is the 5-1 sex method men beg for. The art of presence, passion, and patience. The one that doesn't just touch his body, but touches his soul.